This is an ABC News special report. Now reporting, George Stephanopoulos.
Good afternoon. We're coming on the air because Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO and founder of Facebook, is about to appear on Capitol Hill in the wake of that privacy scandal flowing from the 2016 campaign. There you see him right there as he entered the Senate Judiciary and Commerce Committee's hearing room. And this scandal, of course, was when the personal information of 87 million Facebook users was compromised, improperly taken by a company working for the Trump campaign, Cambridge Analytica. There's the hearing room right there. It is a joint committee hearing, some 44 senators in attendance, and there is Mr. Zuckerberg, his first appearance on Capitol Hill, one he has practiced for, and one where there is a lot on the line. I want to bring in our congressional correspondent, Mary Bruce. And Mary, as I said, this is his first appearance on Capitol Hill, and he's got a big job to do to fend off new regulation.
Yeah, George, this is Mark Zuckerberg's first appearance before a congressional committee like this, and the stakes could not be higher, both for Facebook and the tech world at large. He is about to be questioned by 44 lawmakers, nearly half of the entire U.S. Senate, and they are likely to grill him on both sides of the aisle about the user privacy, about Russian meddling in the U.S. election, and about his plan to protect your data going forward. Now, Zuckerberg, we know, comes armed with an apology. He is going to take responsibility. He's going to admit that he made mistakes, and he's going to try to convince Congress that his company can be trusted. But, George, that may not be enough for lawmakers. Many we've talked with are demanding more robust oversight, and today they want to know if Mark Zuckerberg is going to get on board.
Okay, Mary, opening statements on the committee wrapping up right now. That's Senator Bill Nelson from Florida, Democrat of Florida, speaking right now as Zuckerberg is waiting patiently there for that to end. We're told he's going to have an opening statement about 5 to 7 minutes long, and then take questions from all 44 senators in attendance. He's flanked there by his deputies, his vice president of public policy, who worked for President George W. Bush. And now we're going to hear from Mr. Zuckerberg.
Today is Mark Zuckerberg, founder, chairman, chief executive officer of Facebook. Mr. Zuckerberg's launched Facebook February 4th, 2004. At the age of 19. And at that time, he was a student at Harvard University. As I mentioned previously, his company now has over $40 billion of annual revenue and over 2 billion monthly active users. Mr. Zuckerberg, along with his wife, also established the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative to further philanthropic causes. I now turn to you. Welcome to the committee. Whatever your statement is orally, if you have a longer one, it'll be included in the record. So proceed, sir.
Chairman Grassley, Chairman Thune, Ranking Member Feinstein, and Ranking Member Nelson, and members of the committee. We face a number of important issues around privacy, safety, and democracy. And you will rightfully have some hard questions for me to answer. Before I talk about the steps we're taking to address them, I want to talk about how we got here. Facebook is an idealistic and optimistic company. For most of our existence, we focused on all of the good that connecting people can do. And as Facebook has grown, people everywhere have gotten a powerful new tool for staying connected to the people they love, for making their voices heard, and for building communities and businesses. Just recently, we've seen the Me Too movement and the March for Our Lives organized, at least in part, on Facebook. After Hurricane Harvey, people came together to raise more than $20 million for relief. And more than 70 million small businesses use Facebook to create jobs and grow. But it's clear now that we didn't do enough to prevent these tools from being used for harm as well. And that goes for fake news, for foreign interference in elections, and hate speech, as well as developers and data privacy. We didn't take a broad enough view of our responsibility, and that was a big mistake. And it was my mistake, and I'm sorry. I started Facebook, I run it, and I'm responsible for what happens here. So now, we have to go through all of our relationship with people and make sure that we're taking a broad enough view of our responsibility. It's not enough to just connect people. We have to make sure that those connections are positive. It's not enough to just give people a voice. We need to make sure that people aren't using it to harm other people or to spread misinformation. And it's not enough to just give people control over their information. we need to make sure that the developers they share it with protect their information too. Across the board, we have a responsibility to not just build tools, but to make sure that they're used for good. It will take some time to work through all the changes we need to make across the company, but I'm committed to getting this right. This includes the basic responsibility of protecting people's information, which we failed to do with Cambridge Analytica. So here are a few things that we are doing to address this and to prevent it from happening again. First, we're getting to the bottom of exactly what Cambridge Analytica did and telling everyone affected. What we know now is that Cambridge Analytica improperly accessed some information about millions of Facebook members by buying it from an app developer. That information, this was information that people generally share publicly on their Facebook pages, like names and their profile picture and the pages they follow. When we first contacted Cambridge Analytica, they told us that they had deleted the data. About a month ago, we heard new reports that suggested that wasn't true. And now we're working with governments in the US, the UK, and around the world to do a full audit of what they've done and to make sure they get rid of any data they may still have. Second, to make sure no other app developers out there are misusing data, we're now investigating every single app that had access to a large amount of information in the past. And if we find that someone improperly used data, we're going to ban them from Facebook and tell everyone affected. Third, to prevent this from ever happening again going forward, we're making sure that developers can access as much information now. The good news here is that we already made big changes to our platform in 2014 that would have prevented this specific situation with Cambridge Analytica from occurring again today. But there's more to do, and you can find more details on the steps we're taking in my written statement. My top priority has always been our social mission of connecting people, building community, and bringing the world closer together. Advertisers and developers will never take priority over that as long as I'm running Facebook. I started Facebook when I was in college. We've come a long way since then. We now serve more than 2 billion people around the world, and every day, people use our services to stay connected with the people that matter to them most. I believe deeply in what we're doing, and I know that when we address these challenges, we'll look back and view helping people connect and giving more people a voice as a positive force in the world. I realize the issues we're talking about today aren't just issues for Facebook and our community. They're issues and challenges for all of us as Americans. Thank you for having me here today, and I'm ready to take your questions.
Streamlined statement there from Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg taking responsibility for what went wrong during the 2016 campaign, saying he founded the company, it was his mistake, and he's got the responsibility now to fix it. He's going to take questions now. About 5 minutes from each senator on the podium. Senator Chuck Grassley, the chairman of the Senate Judiciary, now speaking.
Start with you. Facebook handles extensive amounts of personal data for billions of users. A significant amount of that data is shared with third-party developers who utilize your platform. As of early this year, you did not actively monitor whether that data was transferred by such developers to other parties. Moreover, your policies only prohibit transfers by developers to parties seeking to profit from such data. Number one, besides Professor Kogan's transfer and now potentially CubeU, do you know of any instances where user data was improperly transferred to third party in breach of Facebook's terms? If so, how many times has that happened? And was Facebook only made aware of that transfer by some third party?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. As I mentioned, we're now conducting a full investigation into every single app that had access to a large amount of information before we locked down platform to prevent developers from accessing this information in around 2014. We believe that we're going to be investigating many apps, tens of thousands of apps, and if we find any suspicious activity, we're going to conduct a full audit of those apps to understand how they're using their data and if they're doing anything improper. And if we find that they're doing anything improper, we'll ban them from Facebook, and we will tell everyone affected. As for past activity, I don't have all the examples of apps that we've banned here, but if you'd like, I can have my team follow up with you after this.
Okay. Have you ever required an audit to ensure the deletion of improperly transferred data? And if so, how many times?
Mr. Chairman, yes, we have. I don't have the exact figure on how many times we have, but overall, the way we've enforced our platform policies in the past is we have looked at patterns of how apps have used our APIs and accessed information, as well as looked into reports that people have made to us about apps that might be doing sketchy things. Going forward, we're going to take a more proactive position on this and do much more regular spot checks and other reviews of apps, as well as increasing the amount of audits that we do. And again, I can make sure that our team follows up with you on anything about the specific past stats that would be interesting.
Want to bring in our chief congressional correspondent, Mary Bruce, again. And Mary, boy, you see this strategy of contrition there from Mark Zuckerberg saying his company did not do enough to protect people from fake news, from foreign interference in elections, from hate speech, did not do enough to protect people's privacy, and that he's determined to fix it.
Mr. Chairman,
George, he's clearly trying to convey the message that he knows the buck stops with him, that he's willing and open to make changes. The question is just how many changes, what kinds of changes? As we mentioned earlier, Congress is really looking to make some larger, more robust changes when it comes to oversight. Whether that's politically feasible in this climate remains to be seen, but that is going to be at the crux of so much of the questioning here today. Just how far is Mark Zuckerberg really willing to go?
That questioning expected to go on now for several hours. At least 43 more senators prepared to question Mark Zuckerberg. Okay, Mary, thanks very much. You can all follow this hearing online at abcnews.com or by downloading the ABC News app. And of course, there'll be a full report tonight on World News Tonight with David Muir. Have a good afternoon.
This has been a special report from ABC News.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.